Imagine a $600 million bonfire. Just like 50 tons of seized narcotics going up in this thick black smoke in Myanmar.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a massive victory for law enforcement.
Right. It totally looks like one. But what if I told you that bonfire is basically meaningless?
Meaningless.
Yeah, because the real global drug trade, it isn't physical anymore. It lives entirely in the digital ether.
Ah, right. It's the ultimate illusion of control. We focus all this energy on the physical stuff, the stuff we can touch and, well, burn, while the actual networks orchestrating the supply chain just remain completely out of reach.
Exactly. And that tension, that profound collision between the physical world and our digital systems, that is exactly what we are unpacking for you today.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. So welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're digging into the morning briefing from Friday, June 26, 2026. And we've got a stack of sources that, when you start connecting the dots, they really reveal how technology is fundamentally rewriting the rules of, well, everything. Disaster response, global markets, education, even how we understand ancient human history.
Yeah, and the briefing is incredibly dense today. But there is a very clear through line for you here. We are constantly trying to overlay digital solutions onto physical realities. And sometimes, those two layers just crash into each other violently.
Yeah, let's actually start with a literal crash, the physical ground shifting in South America.
Right, the Venezuela earthquakes.
It's awful. Venezuela has just suffered these catastrophic back-to-back earthquakes.
Yeah, so we're looking at a 7.2 and a 7.5 magnitude striking near the northern coast, right around Caracas and La Guaira. The death toll is past 235 now and climbing rapidly.
Oh.
And you have to remember, the country's economy was already fractured, their health system was severely strained, and now the U.S. military's Southern Command is actually deploying search and rescue assets. Officials are calling it the deadliest seismic disaster they've seen in a century.
Right. And, I was reading through the logistics of the response in the briefing. And it really struck me how disaster relief has evolved into this intensely technological operation.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we traditionally think of, boots on the ground, right? Dogs sniffing through the rubble.
Yeah, the classic image.
But the actual vanguard of the response is digital now.
Right, because the speed of data basically dictates the deployment of those boots. Like within hours of the first tremor, geologists were running complex shake modeling.
Okay, I've always wondered about that. Is shake modeling basically just, I don't know, looking at a map and drawing concentric circles out from the epicenter to guess the damage?
No, it's way more dynamic than that. Shake modeling actually ingests real-time sensor data. So things like soil composition, the specific type of fault movement, local building codes.
Wait, building codes?
Yeah, it factors those in to simulate how the seismic waves traveled underground. It doesn't just say, this area shook. It predicts literally street by street where structures are most likely to have pancake.
Oh, wow.
It forecasts casualty zones so commanders know exactly where to send the heavy lifting equipment first.
So it's basically triage by algorithm.
Exactly.
And then you add in the satellite imagery updating rescue routes in real time and, families crowdsourcing the missing persons lists on social media.
Right. The digital network essentially steps in as the central nervous system when the physical infrastructure collapses.
That's a great way to put it. And that dynamic relying on a digital nervous system is the exact reason the global financial markets are experiencing their own kind of tremor right now.
Yeah, the underlying physical reality of our technology is really starting to spook investors.
Because looking at the briefing, the trigger for Friday's global market slide, where Nasdaq futures fell and oil prices slipped, it was ostensibly Apple announcing price hikes.
Right, ostensibly.
But looking at the broader context, Apple feels like a scapegoat here. The rebleeding seems to be in the data center supply chain, isn't it?
You're reading the tea leaves perfectly there. The market has been riding this massive artificial intelligence high for what, a couple of years now?
Yeah, at least.
And everyone sort of bought into the idea that AI was pure software. Like it was infinite, highly scalable, weightless.
Magic, basically.
Right, magic. But investors are waking up with a very expensive hangover, realizing the staggering physical costs required to actually run these large language models.
It's that realization that the cloud isn't actually in the sky.
No, not at all.
It's a 1 million square foot warehouse on the ground in Virginia or Texas, and it's thirsty for just an unbelievable amount of electricity and water.
Yeah, and you have to add concrete, steel, and highly specialized silicon to that list, too. Financial analysts are warning about valuation worries, which is, essentially a polite way of saying Wall Street is looking at the billions of dollars required to physically power these AI data centers, and they're wondering if the actual profits will ever cover the electric bill.
Right. So are we finally hitting the physical limits of the AI boom?
I think we are. The AI hype is sprinted way ahead of the physical reality.
And that fear, like the sheer crushing cost of AI data centers, that totally explains the hardware arms race happening right now.
Oh, absolutely. The biggest tech giants are tearing each other apart, trying to own the physical chips.
Yeah, like OpenAI and Broadcom just announced a new custom AI chip. What's it called? Jalapeno.
Yep, jalapeno. Which is a direct strike against NVIDIA, because currently, NVIDIA practically owns the market for the processors that make AI work, which means they get to dictate the astronomical prices. So OpenAI co-designing Jalapeno is their attempt to break that reliance. They're trying to take back control of their own supply chain so they don't go broke paying the data center toll.
But NVIDIA isn't just sitting back and watching this happen.
No, of course not.
They unveiled the RTX Spark superchip at Computex, and their strategy seems completely different.
It is.
They aren't just fighting for the massive data center, they're fighting for the desktop. This new machine pairs an ARM processor, Blackwell graphics, and 128 gigabytes of memory for about $1,800.
And the key phrase to pull out of those specs is unified memory. That's really the magic trick of the RTX Spark.
Okay, break that down for me. I know memory is RAM, but what makes it unified and why is that the secret sauce for AI?
Sure. So in a standard computer, the brain, which is the CPU, and the graphics card, the GPU, each have their own separate pools of memory. If they want to work on a large AI model, they have to constantly pass data back and forth between those pools, and that creates a massive bottleneck. It's simply too slow.
Ah, got it.
Unified memory means they both share one giant pool. So suddenly that $1,800 PC on your desk can swallow a massive AI model whole without choking.
Wow. So instead of, asking a chatbot a question, sending that text hundreds of miles to an expensive data center and waiting for a response,
The AI lives locally on your laptop.
that's wild. And NVIDIA and Microsoft are calling this an agentic AI platform.
Right, meaning the AI doesn't just answer questions, it acts as an agent on your behalf.
So it does sales for you.
Exactly. It reads your local files, organizes your calendar, drafts emails, all without ever pinging the cloud. It represents a profound philosophical fracture in the tech industry right now.
Because you have OpenAI trying to build this centralized, all-knowing intelligence in a massive data center.
And NVIDIA trying to decentralize AI, putting a smaller but highly capable brain on every desk in the world.
Right. And, that shift from a centralized cloud to hyper-intelligent local machines, it is clearly making governments nervous.
Very nervous.
Because the briefing highlights the Trump administration stepping in and asking OpenAI to stagger the release of their next frontier model, GPT 5.6.
Yeah, they are limiting the rollout to a small set of government-approved partners before any public launch.
And they're citing national security concerns regarding its capabilities. And I want to be clear for you listening, we're just impartially reporting the facts from the briefing here. We aren't taking any political stance on this, but it is a massive intervention.
It really is. It signals the end of the move fast and break things era for artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
The government is preemptively demanding to see what these frontier models can do before they're unleashed.
Yeah.
And that action is coupled with a proposed U.S. federal bill that would mandate AI risk reporting. So developers would be legally forced to disclose dangerous behaviors. It's turning voluntary safety reports into a strict legal obligation.
Which brings me right back to that $600 million bonfire in Myanmar.
I see where you're going with this.
Right. Because the U.S. government is trying to regulate invisible digital intelligence through physical legal frameworks,
Right.
while Myanmar is trying to regulate drugs by physically setting fire to 50 tons of heroin, meth, and ketamine near Yangon. This was on the International Day Against Drug Abuse.
Yeah.
But like we discussed at the start, isn't burning physical drugs just really expensive security theater? I mean, the Golden Triangle supply chain isn't managed on paper ledgers anymore.
No, it's coordinated on encrypted messaging apps and paid for in untraceable cryptocurrency.
Right.
It is the defining paradox for modern authorities.
Right.
Law enforcement operates in the physical world. They seize a truck, they burn a pallet of meth, but the cartel's nervous system is entirely digital.
Right. So by the time the smoke clears,
By the time that smoke clears in Yangon, the digital network has already rerouted a new shipment and process the payments.
Wow.
The physical product is almost just a replaceable byproduct of an untouchable digital network.
That's terrifying. And that anxiety over losing control of the digital environment, whether it's AI capabilities or these clandestine networks, it's trickling down into our most vulnerable local systems, too.
Yeah.
The front lines of this tech war are essentially middle school classrooms right now.
It's so true. The Los Angeles Unified School District is the perfect case study here. They just adopted some of the strictest screen time limits in the country.
Really? Like a full ban.
We are seeing a complete ban on devices in early education, and very tight restrictions in the upper grades.
That's a huge pivot. After an entire decade of Silicon Valley pushing the one device per child model, LAUSD is just slamming on the brakes.
They are trying to reclaim the physical classroom environment for child development.
Which makes sense. But the older students don't really have that luxury, do they?
No, because they are caught in an academic AI arms race.
Right.
Instructure, the company that makes the Canvas learning platform, which millions of students use, they just named CopyLeaks as its exclusive AI detection partner. They are desperately scrambling to build digital guardrails to catch AI-generated essays.
But I've read about the high rate of false positives with those detection tools.
Problem.
Like, if a tired teacher runs a paper through CopyLeaks and the algorithm incorrectly flags a 16-year-old for plagiarism, that permanently stains their academic record.
Exactly. The school is basically using a black box algorithm to police another black box algorithm.
And a student is just caught in the crossfire.
Yep. And while educators are hyper-focused on policing the students' digital output, the actual digital infrastructure of the school is being hollowed out by professionals.
The cyber attacks.
Yes.
The Alamo Heights Independent School District in Texas is just a terrifying example of this.
It really is.
They suffered a ransomware attack that didn't just, lock up lesson plans. It exposed the data of 26,000 people. We're talking social security numbers, driver's licenses, medical information. It's devastating.
It is. I mean, schools basically hold just as much sensitive data as a major commercial bank now, but they're functioning like underfunded, localized cybersecurity firms, just without the fortress walls.
Extortion crews know this. They know K-12 school districts and universities are soft targets sitting on enterprise-level data troves.
Right.
The briefing mentions the Shiny Hunters extortion crew exploiting a zero-day flaw in Oracle PeopleSoft to breach over 100 organizations, specifically hitting higher education student and HR systems.
Okay, let me pause you on 0 day just to make sure I'm getting this right.
Yeah.
For me and for you listening, does a 0 day flaw just mean a vulnerability that the software makers literally had 0 days to prepare for? Like the hackers found it and used it before anyone even knew it existed?
That captures it perfectly, yeah. There's no patch available because the manufacturer is completely blind to it until the attack happens.
Wow.
And Oracle PeopleSoft is the backbone of higher education administration.
So they're completely exposed. Completely. And the other vulnerability flagged by CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, was a critical flaw in Cisco's Unified Communications Manager.
Okay, help me understand this one, because isn't that Cisco system essentially just a phone server for office desk phones?
Basically, yeah.
Why are sophisticated hackers using an unglamorous phone system as a backdoor?
Well, think about how IT departments allocate their budgets.
Okay.
They put heavy security on the email servers, the databases, the firewalls, but the phone server just sits quietly in a closet, largely ignored.
Right, nobody thinks about the desk phone.
Exactly. But it's still connected to the core network. And this specific Cisco flaw allows an unauthenticated attacker to bypass the login screen entirely and grant themselves root access.
And root access is like the master key to the castle, right? Total administrative control.
Total control. They can write malicious files, steal credentials, and pivot from the phone system straight into the sensitive databases.
Oh, man.
It's the equivalent of putting laser grids and bank vault on your front door, but leaving the side window to the basement wide open.
That is wild. Okay, we have dug into some incredibly heavy crises today.
We really have.
From catastrophic earthquakes and financial turbulence to, the battle for AI supremacy and school cyber attacks. But I want to pull back the lens for a second.
Okay.
Because if you only look at the technology, you kind of miss the forest for the trees. The technology iterates at breakneck speed, sure, but the core of human behavior, our drive to connect, to share, to experience things together, that is ancient.
Quite literally ancient, yeah.
Right. The briefing highlighted this groundbreaking new study by South African scientists focusing on Homo naledi fossils. These were found in the Rising Star cave system.
Right. These are early human relatives, millions of years old.
Yeah. And the clues they left behind are forcing anthropologists to completely rewrite our family tree.
Because the physical evidence in those caves suggests Homo naledi engaged in deliberate burial practices and that they had complex culture.
Which is huge.
It is. They were displaying forms of intelligence, grief, and community that we previously thought were strictly exclusive to Homo sapiens.
Yeah, they were carefully burying their dead in these incredibly hard-to-reach cave chambers. They were leaving physical markers of their shared existence. And when you trace that line forward to what the internet is talking about today, I mean, the medium is completely different, but the impulse is identical.
You're pointing to the pop culture trends from the briefing.
Exactly. Just look at what people are choosing to care about right now. The 2026 VidCon Hall of Fame inducted creators like Markiplier, Michelle Phan, Philip DeFranco, and Cassie Ho.
Right. These are people who literally invented the grammar of digital community.
Yes. And the internet is also obsessing over this viral, a totally lighthearted moment at the World Cup between France's Kylian Mbappe and Esther Exposito in a pink dress.
It's everywhere.
And at the same time, older generations are collectively mourning Anne Blythe, the legendary star of Mildred Pierce, passing away at 98.
It's the modern equivalent of leaving a mark on the cave wall. We just do it on a global scale now.
Right, even down to the daily micro-interactions. Like, millions of people are still waking up and swapping their Wordle and NYT connection scores.
Oh, I do that every morning.
Me too. I used to think those games were just time killers, but they actually function neurologically as a low-stakes social glue.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, you share a colored grid, and it signals to your friend, hey, I experienced this puzzle. We have this tiny shared context for the day.
It's a synchronization ritual.
Exactly, a synchronization ritual.
Yeah.
And then you have the ultimate macro synchronization ritual, the 2026 World Cup. Over 3.6 million fans packing stadiums across North America, breaking all-time attendance records.
It's staggering.
It is. So I have a philosophical question for you based on all of this.
All right, lay it on me.
We spent the first half of this deep dive talking about agentic AI running on local RTX Spark chips, right? Designed to act on our behalf so we don't have to engage with the digital friction of life. But when you look at those Homo naledi burials, or 3.6 million people screaming at a soccer match, doesn't it prove that no matter how advanced the automation gets, our ultimate drive is simply to share an unautomated experience with another human being?
The contrast you're drawing there is really the key to understanding this entire briefing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we build these incredibly intricate digital fortresses, custom jalapeno chips, unified communications managers, encrypted networks to facilitate or simulate connection and control.
Right.
But the technology is just a transient tool. The magic of a roaring stadium, the quiet intimacy of texting a puzzle score, or the profound humanity of an ancient burial in the Rising Star cave. It all stems from the exact same biological impulse. Technology iterates. Humanity remains constant.
Wow. That perfectly encapsulates this. We've covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
From the physical devastation of the Venezuela earthquakes and the hidden, staggering electricity costs of the AI boom, to the fierce hardware battles in Silicon Valley and the digital extortion happening in Texas classrooms.
It's a lot to process.
It is. We trace that thread all the way from ancient fossils to the global roar of the World Cup. And our goal here was to map out how these seemingly disconnected dots form the actual infrastructure of the world you are walking through today.
It really shifts your perspective because once you see the underlying systems, both the digital networks and the human drives, you kind of can't unsee them in the daily news.
You really can't. So I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over.
Okay.
Think about those Homo naledi fossils deep in the Rising Star cave. They left tangible, physical clues, evidence of their care, their culture, their humanity, for us to find millions of years later.
Right.
With our lives now increasingly split across ephemeral data centers, encrypted apps, and local AI PCs, what exactly are the fossils we are leaving behind for future archaeologists? When they dig into our layer of the earth, will they uncover the vibrant story of our shared joy and culture? Or will they just find a rusted pile of jalapeno chips and RTX hardware, wondering what it was all for?
That is a hunting question to end on.
I think it's one we all need to be asking. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious, keep looking for the connections, and remember that amidst all the heavy headlines, there is always something worth smiling about. We'll catch you next time.